right, so it looks like we're
We
live.
are live. Welcome to the Autobahn Country Club podcast. I'm your host, John Graybill, joined with Mike Gritter, the track racing director and track operations, director of track operations.
How about director of track operations and
There,
race director?
that was close.
Pretty close,
That was
yeah.
pretty close. That's pretty close.
It's a lot to fit on a
Yeah.
card, you know.
So we're gonna come to. I'm coming to you from Florida, and Mike, looks like you are at the track.
I am in the South Tower up here at the track. I figured I'm too loud to do it at my office desk and bother everybody, so I figured I'd hide up here.
But it's a great day in Florida here. This is the 3rd of March. It's beautiful, but it's not.
I actually just got back from Florida. I spent the weekend in Florida, so it was very
That's
nice.
right.
It's good to get back here and see most of the snow melted and actually see some grass. I went around the track yesterday and things are looking pretty good, all things considered. So it's good to be back
Yeah,
here.
I guess pretty nice day up there, almost in the 60s, right? Probably, or in the 60s.
Yeah, it's definitely mid 50s for sure. So
Outstanding. Well, welcome to the 2021 race season. I guess we can talk about that. Then we can highlight a few other things. But
we're getting close.
yeah, so first April 1st, track opens up with racing. Boy, last year was fantastic.
Well, John, before we get into the new season, let's talk about the new format of the podcast here. We've got some video to go along with the audio. There's some exciting things. We've talked about that. Why don't you maybe tell everybody what we got planned for the podcast, or at least what's new?
Yeah, so as many podcasts as we can, we're going to offer both the audio format that we've had for several seasons, I guess 3 seasons, and this year we're going to add video to that. So via YouTube, the Autobahn Country Club YouTube page will host the podcast, and we will be bringing exciting new video format to already audio format that we've done for years. And
maybe that wasn't the best choice for the new
no,
video.
this is great. This is great. You're a returning voice on the podcast. We love having you on. So yeah, we've got some new equipment, as producer Mark McFarland is always challenging me to find better new equipment and a new way to present the podcast to have our listeners enjoy it as much as possible.
Yep, I think it's exciting. I think it's a cool thing. There's so much more we can do with the video here, and we've already talked about maybe some group sessions of some chats and things like that. So, and I know the discussions we've had of subject matter for some of these podcasts. I think we got a good year, and I think you're going to lead us down a good direction here, John.
Well, thanks. Yeah, we spent every year we spend more and more time on it, trying to do a better job and plan. And this year has been no exception. We've actually put in quite a bit of time and a few meetings to kind of get everything coordinated with the club and membership and members and racing, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. Well, should we kind of kick things off and dive into it?
Yeah, I think so. Racing. Go ahead.
Racing. Yeah. So part of my idea and why I wanted to be on the podcast was kind of a review of last year. So, we all know last year had its challenges, and one of those was that we didn't get to have the year-end awards party. So we never got that cap, that end to the season, to get everybody together and congratulate everybody. So, I mean, just despite the way the crazy year went and the late start and all that stuff, we actually ended up with a fantastic racing season. The numbers were good when you look at it, of how many participants were involved. Even though the schedule changed, I think it was 10 or 11 times. We had different versions of the schedule to try and keep up with everything that was going on. But overall, I mean, we ended up with some amazing racing. That included, so many amazing battles throughout the season in different categories. From cars to karting and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it was really a shame that we didn't get that year-end awards party to gather and celebrate all that stuff. So one thought is, we had one thought of like doing a video and doing the awards and kind of handing them out and doing little clips of each driver. That got to be pretty complicated. And then it got to be a point where, um, it was almost anticlimactic. But if it wasn't going to be ready till January, everyone's kind of moved on, and I think thinking about the rest of the season. So I put in Talk Around the Track, the newsletter that hopefully everybody is getting. We did a driver spotlight, and so we picked out some of the highlight things of the year um, to show everybody, well, to give some people some recognition. For example, we had those amazing battles between John Jourdain and
Yeah,
Sean
yeah,
Barwig in S2. I mean, and it would have been so cool to talk about that, at the awards party. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think three times they finished within like a tenth of a
yeah.
second of
The
each other or
SM2
something.
Spec Miatas, what incredible racing! I mean, two younger
Yeah,
guys that are just, I mean, came rocketing out of the starting gates, I guess you could say, and it was a lot of fun
yeah,
watching them. I mean, it was a lot of fun watching them race and battle it out.
yeah, and especially because they were pretty good buds. I'm not sure how long they've been friends, but I know that they are friends and they got along, and that doesn't mean they weren't battling hard on the track because they did. I mean, they were fighting each other so hard on the track, and so those amazing finishers were great. So we highlighted that. Um, we're recording this on the third, so tomorrow Talk Around the Track is going to go out again, and one of those highlights is going to be some of the awards that were voted on by fellow racers. And so the next Talk Around the Track is going to actually focus on some of the karting awards. And you were the recipient of one of those karting awards. John was voted the Sportsman of the Year for the kart track there. So to me, that's one of the big ones there. If you can get your fellow guys to think you're a good sport, that's a good accomplishment. So congratulations on that.
Thanks. Yeah, as everybody listeners of the podcast know, I mean, I love karting. It's exciting. It's wonderful. The ability to paddock together, the camaraderie that we have there is outstanding. I mean, I love it. I love it.
Yeah, some of the other things that we kind of touched on in that driver spotlight thing was the kids who came out of the kart track and are now entering their professional careers. We've watched Jordan for the last couple of years as he's accelerated. He's going into his second year now that I would consider in the big
Mm-hmm.
pro ranks. Um, Christian Weir, if anybody's been following him, he's been kind of racing all over and testing all over this winter, coming out of our karting there. We talked about John Jourdain and Sean Barwig. They're both doing various things. Sean races a lot with PCA. John is looking at the MX5 Cup Series. So I mean, yeah, from karting all the way through to the cars, it's good camaraderie. Particularly, it starts at the kart track, and it's good sports like you that make it fun to be down there, and that's the key with any of the racing. If you're not having fun, really, you're not doing it right, and you're part of that makes it a good time
Yeah,
down there.
the sun just started washing me out here. I have to change the studio here just a little bit. The yeah, you had mentioned Sean Varg. We were down here at Sebring for the big SCCA national race. Sean was out there running fantastic, doing wonderful, and so I got to spend some watching him down here at Sebring. In addition to that I've seen Christian Weir. You mentioned him twice now. I've seen him on the track at Sebring, testing a couple different cars, and it was pretty cool to see those karting guys out there. Christian being the karting guy out there just tearing it up, man, doing a great job. Not tearing a car up, that I mean that, but I mean just tearing the track up, doing a great job. Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is that they're doing well. It's not like they're entering these new series and it's a totally new thing and they're way at the back and got to learn their ropes. They're all our guys that are out there with the experience from here are jumping right in and they're competitive right off the bat. And I think that says a lot for the people we have here, the racing we have here, the driver development that we have here. I think it speaks volumes of the club as a whole.
Yeah, it was a great the first race down at Sebring there for the SCCA. There were 6 members of the Autobahn Country Club down there racing. If my numbers are great, I mean that was I mean, come on. I mean, that was great, and all doing a fantastic job. And we had some
Yeah.
coaches down there from the track. I mean, it was cool. It was great to extend that, and that was very much a karting to me. With my experience, it was very much a karting vibe to have everybody together, paddocking together, working together, helping each other, and it was awesome to see how much everybody helped each other. So
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, no, that's cool. Some of the other highlights from the year. Well, you may have seen this on Talk around the track, but so Gary Traverso was our Sportsman of the Year for the car stuff. And we did a little piece on Gary. And I always think these ones that you get voted on by your competitors, that's special. It's one thing, you just rack up stats and points, and it's factual. It is what it is. But when the guys that you're racing hard against and competing against recognize you as a good sportsman or a rookie of the year or something like that, I think those are special awards. And they're worth mentioning. Our karting rookie of the year was Jackson Wolney. So that was awesome on
yeah,
him.
yeah, that young
Um,
guy just came in and just out of nowhere just took to
yeah,
karting so quickly. And
for sure.
he has been down to Florida a couple times racing this winter down in Florida. So he didn't take the winter off. He's been down here,
Is
yeah,
he okay?
racing a few other uh, type karts, and he's ready to come back to the club and hit it hard. Yeah, he was a lot of fun to watch.
Yep. And then our amazing producer Mark McFarland, his son Spencer McFarland was the most improved karter. He was another one that
Oh
really
my
kind of
gosh,
came
yeah.
along as the year went on. He was fantastic. So that was awesome. Yeah. So there was just some really cool things that happened last year. We had an Ironman award that went to Kevin Davis this year, and Kevin Davis, well, he made it a goal to participate in every series that we had. So he did that, and I don't remember the stats of the actual number of races he did this year, but almost nonstop, like almost every race we did, he was in it in one way or another. He even jumped in the radicals. He jumped in the kart series, chase races. He pretty much did it all. So he got the Ironman award. So just yeah, a lot of good things. Thankful for our members that made it such a great year, considering all the challenges. We didn't open till, oh man, a month and a
Yeah.
half in, whatever it was. And then we had to constantly rearrange the racing schedule, and there was adjustments on the fly everywhere we went, including in the clubhouse and at the cafe and all that kind of stuff. And um, our members are just incredible that we had such a good year despite all of that. So, you know, accolades to all these guys who got voted on, but also for everyone who participated, and that makes this club what it is. It's so cool. So it was a really good
Yeah,
year.
I think back on it, it started like we said. Started slow, but man, it sure finished fantastic. It was great. And
Yep,
I always say,
yep,
our club, it's our club, and it is what we make it. And if we make it warm,
absolutely.
inviting, and welcoming, it's going to be warm, inviting, and welcoming. And if we make it fun, it's going to be fun. So, I think the members really, really stepped up to the plate and did a fantastic job.
I think that was very well said, John. Yep, it's the members that make this club, and yeah, if all the members are having fun and out there enjoying the club, it's gonna be
Yeah,
infectious to the
yeah,
others.
that's right. Yeah,
Yep,
yeah,
yep. So with all that being said, with the challenges of last year, boy, looking forward to this year. Hopefully, we don't have all those complications from last year. As you know, the schedule went out already, and we got some great things planned. So already there's one slight adjustment to the schedule is that first Wings and Things race. We're going to move that back, and that is a result of COVID complications because IndyCar ended up moving their first race. Well, the Radical Cup North America Series is
yeah,
running with IndyCar, which is very cool. And so now all of a sudden, our first race conflicted with that, and that puts the Radical guys really in a tough spot. So we're going to move that Radical race. It seems everyone's agreeable to that. Other than that, I'm really hoping the schedule stays as it is. When we put that schedule out, labeled those races that where we're going to separate SM and SM2, and where we're going to separate radicals and formula cars and things like that. So everyone knows which races are separated, which races are going to be combined. Um, so, we had good success last year with some separating some races and combining some. And so we're going to continue on to that. And, just try and be real transparent with everything that we're doing. And through the course of the winter, I've put some emails out with some ideas about things and really got a lot of I got a lot of feedback. I would say most of it positive. Others, ideas maybe differing in what I'm thinking, but it's good to get that feedback. So I would encourage everybody, if you're on that racer email list and you're seeing those emails and questions are posed out there, please respond. Need to hear everyone's opinion so we can move forward with, how people want the club racing to go. Because, like you said, it's about our members, so that's for sure.
Yeah. So to get, if they're not on that racing email, Mike.Gritter at C at
No doubt, no doubt. Just Mike
Mike
Ritter
Gritter
at Autobahn.
Mike Gritter at AutobahnCC.com. Email you to get on that list so that you can participate. And even if you're not planning on racing yet, maybe you're a new member, get on that race. So I mean, I was late getting on that list, the email list, and probably the first year, which I didn't race, but the first year probably would have been beneficial for me to participate and understand a little bit more that was going on. So I was better prepared the next year.
Yeah, it can be pretty helpful because you get updates on the schedule, you get information about the coming race for the next weekend, etc. But also, ideas are posed out there, and that's the best way to give feedback is just to email me and hey, I don't understand this, or this is what I think about this, etc. All that kind of stuff, is always taken into consideration for sure. And if you don't give feedback and you don't, respond to these things, then your voice is not being heard. And I guess you can't complain then,
That's
right?
right. That's right. Yeah. So, uh, with that, are we going to have we're going to this year? So last year we didn't have a racer meeting, obviously. Are we going to be able to have a racer meeting like we do? It's super, well, it's fun. I mean, it's fun and informative.
Yep. Well, so here's what we're thinking, and this is kind of breaking news. So the first weekend in April, so we're going to open April 1st. That's on Thursday. Okay, so then the third is Saturday. On that Saturday, well, originally we were going to have a Porsche event. That has moved back several weeks. So that weekend is now open. So we'll probably run one track for race practice again, and the other track for just regular lapping. During that day, we're thinking we make that day kind of a big kickoff, and we'll have some racer sessions, and we'll also have some sessions for the annual club meeting. Um, because we're not sure how many people will be restricted to, we'll almost do it kind of like business conference style. So we'll put out a schedule, and if you want to attend the 9 o'clock meeting on this subject, come to that one. If you want to attend the 10 o'clock meeting on this subject, that way we can kind of offer all the information to everybody, and people can pick and choose what's important to them. So if you're a Spec Miata guy, you may not want to come to the Wings and Things meeting. If you're not a racer at all, you may not want to go to the racer meetings, but you may be more interested in the club news or the social calendar, or how's the club doing financially, updates from upper management, things like that. So we may take that day, and that just could be an informative day for everybody to drop into the sessions you want to hear. And if it's something that doesn't interest you, go hit the track and get some practice. Um, so we're kind of working on that day right now. This idea just came up over the weekend, and so look for more news on that. We'll have something out, I would think, by a couple weeks ahead of time, and that'll be a good day. So that'll include racer meetings, and it won't be too late to make any adjustments that we need if there's topics that are hot out there. But also be a great time just to see everybody, a reason to come out more than the track has enough reason, but if you need more reason, you come out for these sessions and just see everybody. And I'm sure we'll get Peggy involved, of course, and it'll be a good day.
Oh, outstanding, outstanding. Yes, and quickly this year, the second week of April, the race school.
The race school. Yep. So one thing I'll make note of is the fourth is Easter, and we're always traditionally closed on Easter, so we will be closed on Easter again. And then the 8th and the 9th, that's that Thursday and Friday following, that will be the race school. So the 2-day race school. So those who are interested in getting a competition license, this is your first opportunity to achieve that. Anyone who's rusty or new or wants to go through it again, you're always welcome. You can repeat that class as many times as you want to. And they're always looking for veteran guys to help out, get some more cars on track. So that's your opportunity to get involved in the racing. That's your first step. Once you go through that school, doesn't mean you have to start competing right away. It just means you've taken your first step, and you can still continue to practice, etc. And when you think you're ready, you've got that obstacle out of the way.
Yeah, I mentioned also, man, I did it last year for the first time and raced a couple times. I plan on doing it again. I thought it was just fantastic. It was so good. I can't say I don't know 50 karting races I've been in, and I think only three. I think I did 2 or 3 car races last year. Switching cars this year, so I'm not scared to scratch my car like I was last year, which I didn't think that was probably. If you have a race car and you're scared when somebody comes up on the side of you, you might scratch it. You probably need a different race car.
So what are you racing this year?
I'm probably going to be racing the Miatas. I don't know at what, with my son Mitchell racing Miatas. We'll see if we're on track together, and how often we'll be on track together. But he's obviously way faster than me.
Yep. Well, and Mitch, another guy that has come out of our karting rank, is now doing well in the cars. He's going to be exciting to watch because now he's got a little bit experience under him, and so he'll be fun to watch this year.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to that. And so yeah, I'll be out on the track with him. So Mike Benet, one of the other members, I asked him about it one time. I said, "So are you scared or nervous when you're out on track with your son? I mean, if something happens, I don't want to be thinking, oh, where did he go? Because he was in front of me before, and now I can't see
Right.
him. And
Right.
you're right. Is it him? Is he okay? And
Thoughts.
Michael Benet said,
Right.
absolutely not. He goes, I want us to be battling it out for first place. And I said,
No, that's
okay,
cool.
okay, yeah. He's got a couple sons that race, so that was great words of advice from a guy who's been there and done it.
I wonder if you had to work up to that through several races, or if that was right off the bat. I would think you might have to work up to that one a little bit.
Right. Yeah. So his first real big race, I've watched him race. His first real big race, and it was great watching him. And I thought about that. It was better for me to watch. I think even though I wanted to be out there with him, I wanted to race at this historic racetrack. It's probably better for me to watch him do that, as opposed
Yeah.
to being out there, because I wouldn't have enjoyed it as much. That's for sure, probably. So anyway, it was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yep. So then after the race school, then we start diving into our first races. So the first Miata race is April 11. And then the following weekend, we'll do another day where there's race practice and on one track and member lapping on the other practice.
And
Or on
member
the other
lapping,
track.
go over that real quick for everybody. Just a little refresher on, because that started last year.
Yeah, so what I'm referring to is we'll take those opportunities where we can have both tracks because we don't have an event. And so on one track, typically the South, we'll do race practice. So the schedule will be, for example, it might be 40 minutes of licensed drivers and spec Miatas, then maybe 40 minutes of radicals and wings and things, and then a GT session, a longer session so that guys can go out, test their cars, come into pit lane, make a couple adjustments, go back out again. So they've got a longer session to really start fine tuning things, and it'll be just for licensed race drivers. Then on the other track, so probably on the north track, would be just the regular member lapping schedule. So those who aren't interested in racing can do the normal lapping sessions, or if it's not your time to be out on the race practice session, you can still go out on the other track. And then we've got both tracks going with members, and that's actually a ton of fun. It's really cool to see. So we've got 2 dates we're going to do that right off the bat. The first one is on the schedule, I think, but that April 3rd, that's going to be a new addition, and that'll be a great way to start the year. Because let's face it, you sit around all winter long, and some guys were fortunate enough to head south and do some racing. But if you hadn't, or you rebuilt your car or something, to have those sessions there to really get some practice in and get the car tuned up are really beneficial. It's something you don't get in other racing series. If you didn't belong to a club like this and you just had to go out and let's say run SCCA for example, there's no day to do
Right.
all this tuning. You're going to get a practice session in the morning, and bam, you're right into it. So it's very fortunate we're able to do that, and it's going to be a good opportunity and fun right off the bat.
Outstanding. Okay, great. Yeah.
And then, as the year goes on, we'll look for those other opportunities to do it again. The After that, the weekend schedule starts filling up pretty heavily with events. There was a lot of demand out there when we started doing the schedule for this year from events. So that's a good thing for the club. It's good that there's the demand out there. That means there's people interested in doing this. But of course, it means we get busy, and so there's opportunities to have both tracks going get limited. But if opportunities arise, we'll throw something in if we need to, or if we need to do an extended session at the end of a day or something along those lines. We'll figure it out. We'll keep working on it.
Oh, very cool. Awesome. And
Yep.
again, talk around the track coming out. Let's see, the race schedule is available on autobahnmembers.com. Just go to race schedule right there at the top. Take you to the spreadsheet for all that. We go down with that every year at my family, and then we schedule our family vacation this summer. This
Yeah, what's funny about that, John, is so when you know end of December, beginning of January. Um, well, early on when Autobahn started, I was not prepared for this of how many guys were going to call and say, "Is the schedule ready yet?" Because I have to plan my business and my family vacations around this schedule, and that hasn't changed at all since we started this. And yeah, people really wait for that schedule to come up before they plan their family vacations, and sometimes they plan their business trips around it and things like that. So it's an important part of the year, which is it's just so
Right.
awesome,
Yeah,
isn't
it's
it?
fantastic. So yeah, we look forward to the schedule coming out. That's for sure.
Yeah, and on that same spot that you were talking about on the website. So if you go to the racer area of the website, that's where you can also find all the different forms. So if you need to do a medical exam form, you can find it on there. Now, something new we started last year for licenses is if your medical has not expired, your license hasn't expired. So for a while there, you had to renew your license every single year, and now your license is good until your medical expires. So if you're a racer that's raced every year with us, there's really no need to renew your license on a yearly basis if your medical is still good. So you're fine there. One thing that does have to be done every year is if you're going to race in the GT class, you need to get a dyno submitted and that GT car classification form. So we need to know the details on your car so we know what class you're in, and you have to get a dyno sheet to us. So we've got a record of your horsepower and your
Yeah.
torque.
How long is the medical good for?
Well, it depends on age. So if you look in the rule book, it's written in there, and we basically follow the SCCA rules. So if you're 40 and younger, it's good for like 5 years. Once you hit 70, then you have to do it every single year, and it's kind of gapped in between there. So you could check on that. But also, if you got a license last year, it'll have the date on your license that says when your medical expires. That's basically when your license expires as
Okay.
well.
And real quick for the some of the new racers, so they'll come in, they'll get their provisional license once they go through the race school, and then after
Mm-hmm.
that they race. I don't think there's not written a minimum number of races, a few races, right?
I think it's written in there a minimum number of 3 races, but that's still it's just a minimum. So if you're struggling, we're going to keep an eye on you, and maybe not graduated out of that provisional rank yet. But if you're doing well and the instructors think you're doing fine, then you can get that past that provisional and have a full license.
All right, outstanding. And if anybody's interested in if which I have done this winter, expanding those licenses up out to other organizations to race with them, everybody can hit me up at the club or email the podcast, and I can help you. It's somewhat of a difficult and a quick fire hose of learning to expand, get other licenses out there. So anyway, I can try to help and point everybody in the right direction.
Yep. Well, our license is listed in the SCCA rule book as being an accepted
Mm-hmm.
license. And it really shouldn't take much more than an application and possibly, a phone call with Tony or somebody like that, just as an approval. Now, with that being said, if you're struggling and new to things in here, then of course they're not going to be quite as receptive to give you a full comp license to go pro racing. But if you're experienced here and you've had some success here, it should be pretty easy to move on to other
Yeah,
things.
it's just who to ask, who to talk to, what kind of license, regional or national, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, that you have to kind of
Mhm.
figure out, I guess, and things like that. So, but it's
Yeah,
totally
yeah,
doable. Totally
yep.
doable. Um,
Good.
okay, well, that sounds. Any major changes that you want to touch on at all for racing?
Well, just one last thing on the schedule. So the schedule is very similar to what we've done in the past, but I think one thing we've taken a closer look at is getting the social calendar to coincide with some of these
Right.
races, or for certain events to avoid the races, right? Um, so besides the racing schedule, and this might be a better topic for the next podcast, the social calendar, but there will be a social calendar coming out as well too. And so some of those will have some food tie-ins or music and stuff like that tied into some of the races. Some of the other social stuff will be separated from a race because it would be a distraction. But that's going to be a great calendar too. So we've talked about putting out a full social calendar many times before, and there's always been complications. Um, and it's just something that we just had to dedicate that we've got to do this for our members no matter what, and we can't let any events get in the way or anything like that. So that social calendar will be coming out, and I think people are really going to be amazed and love it. And boy, if you can't find something to do this year, you're going to be hard pressed because we're going to have some cool stuff on there. So that's cool on how those things will coincide. So while the racing schedule doesn't look that different, it's going to coincide with some social stuff. So that's really cool. Um, we've put out some possible rule changes out there, and we're getting feedback on that. One of the possible changes could be a egress time for a driver. So a driver has to get out of the car in 20 seconds or so. And I first put that out there in, I think it was about December. It was kind of in reaction to the Romain Grosjean crash. And the feedback on that has been really positive. Everyone understands that's a great safety move. And even some of the guys that might be a little challenged on getting out of a car for a variety of reasons said, you know what, I'm going to work on it. It's a good idea. I'm going to get it done. So that'll be a good move forward. We're discussing, the blocking rules. That got, in my opinion, that got a little bit out of hand last year. There was some people that was really taking that opportunity to defend your line and creating situations that were unwanted. So reviewing that, one of the things we've got that we started last year that probably didn't get the publicity it should have, and we're working on that. We were just talking today is we've got a racer committee. We've got an Autobahn racer committee that has been formed. It's headed by Charlie Margosian, and each group has a representative on that committee. So there's one from Radicals and Wings and Things. There's one from SM2, SMGT, on down the line. And these guys will be reaching out to each particular group and trying to get feedback from those groups. And the whole intent is to, again, gather that information, um, and bring it to myself and management so we can make decisions. Because part of what happens sometimes is everybody starts, the groups start to talk to each other, and they may come up with good ideas. But if those good ideas don't get brought forward to the people who can make the changes, then it doesn't go anywhere. And if you look at the group of our racers as a whole, we had, I forget the number of different racers we had this year. Actually, I've got it in front of me. So last year we had 172 drivers, different drivers, participate in a race. That's a
Wow.
huge number. That's incredible. So one of the things that's been coming across is that um, they all have these opinions, and to try and keep track of that all is nearly an impossible job. So one of the things that the racer committee is going to do is help me gather that information. So instead of me trying to talk to 172 different individuals, I can talk to the racer committee, and they can each talk to their group of 40 or whatever it is, And collectively we can get um, better communication going through all of it so that I can serve the members what they need, and their voices are being heard. So look for emails from your racer committee representative in whatever group you are, and we're hoping this will be very helpful moving forward, and that includes proposed rules changes and things like that. So I'll be working with them closely, and that'll be a good thing.
Yeah, just to mention the egress, not that I'm a major race car driver, but I have flown quite a few airplanes, including a lot of high performance fighter airplanes. And that's one thing that, well, that's step one is getting out, finding your seatbelt, getting out, which ways you find your seatbelt when you're upside down, right side up.
Yeah.
And additionally, find your, if a smoke could fill the cockpit up, how are you going to get out and find and know where all that stuff is? So, yeah, even if it wasn't a rule, I would think that one would want to practice. And I talk to the kids when we go drive big cars. I'm always got the kids over there. Close your eyes. Figure out how you're going to get out. What are you going to do? Pull the door, and all that stuff. Which ways? How are you going to find it when you're upside down? How are you going to find out which way to go? When you release the belt, what happens when you release the release the belt and you fall on your head, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm just taking those things from flying airplanes and trying to go through my head and how they might apply to a high performance race car.
Yep. Yeah, and like I said, there's been good support on that. I think everyone understands the need for that. So, and those who have challenges or whatever, bigger guys, taller guys, older guys, we'll work with you. It's not like if you can't do it on the first try, that's it, you're done for the year. We'll work with you and help you out. See what can we do that you could get out a little bit faster. But you think about it, so if that number is 20 seconds, and your car is on fire, 20 seconds is a long time. You know what I mean? And but also, 20 seconds is a long time. So most people, if they try it and they time themselves getting out of the car, they can do it within 20 seconds pretty easily.
Yeah.
But you don't want to find yourself in that situation where you can't get out as quickly as you had hoped. So,
right.
I mean, that's an important thing.
Right.
So, yep. So, and one of the other exciting things that's coming this year is everyone has to get a new Autobahn member racing sticker, because one of our sponsor arrangements with Haggerty is also the racing series. So our new Autobahn member racing logo also has Haggerty on it. And so every car is going to get a new sticker this year. So we're excited about that. We got a good partnership with Haggerty. Again, more to come in probably the next podcast. I think maybe the next podcast is going to be all the new and exciting things that are coming to the club, because we've been working hard over this winter, and we've got a lot of things coming up, and we're really excited for this season, not only for the racing, but all the other stuff that we want to tell you about that we've been doing. So that's going to be part of it. That'll be really cool.
All right. Outstanding. Again, people want to get a hold of you, Mike Ritter at autobahncc.com.
Yep. So MikeGritter at autobahncc.com.
And or give the track a call. And you're very responsive and very eager to help everybody. So if anybody's don't be bashful about sending you an email, because you're gonna get
not at all. I'd love to get the information. Yep.
All right.
So that's no problem at all.
Well, thanks for joining us here again this year for the 2021 race season preview. And we'll look to have you on here probably a couple more times this year as we talk about different events and things that are going on.
Sounds great. I'll have to do it.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, John.